All right, I'm glad to see you guys back. You made it back for video number 2, the lighting. This one will be more informative for those of you who have this type of light and are wondering, what settings I may use, different adjustments, setting it up, that type of thing. I'm going to go through it from start to finish. I'm going to actually delete the app. Once I delete the app, I'm going to actually just download it here on screen for you. And then I'm going to show you some different settings on it, the preset settings. We'll go through and we'll do some of the, the pro settings for setting it the way you want it. Maybe do a little discussion. I mean, there's a lot of white light in this video. I mean, on these lights. Let's be honest with each other here. The white light, it may serve a purpose. Definitely as an algae grower, it's more for your enjoyment. I mean, when really all these functions on these lights, the blue light is the main one. The light blue, the red, they play a factor. The white is just, my opinion, really just more to make the tank so it's where you wanted to see it. Now, there's different opinions on this. I'm just strictly going by, if you take a look at like a coral reef in the ocean, say it's 50 foot down, how much white light does that reef really get? It's not a deep penetrating light. I'm not saying it doesn't get some. I'm not saying there isn't a need for some, but I really don't think there's a need to just blast everything with, the white light unless that's what you like. The lighting is all kind of about what you like and what the corals in the tank need. Now, I did have a subscriber point something out to me here that honestly I was excited about getting this light. I kind of went through a little bit with fluval. Been wanting to do this video since I got the tank. They did point out that this is going to change the PAR on the lights. Obviously I went from 1 light to 2. Obviously that should magnify it by double. So there might actually end up being a part 3 to this video. I'm not sure exactly when that will happen, if it does. The only reason I say that there might be a part 3 is because if I can get one of them meters to measure the light and the PAR, I'm going to probably try to get one of them. And then when we get we get that in there, I'll do a video on that showing you, what it was with 1 light versus what it is with the 2 lights. See it, how much of a difference it makes. Maybe I'll want to, move some corals around for different lighting, because obviously, like he pointed out, some corals need more light, some corals need less. There's actually a few corals that are night focused. They still have the blue light from the moon, but they're more, cave light corals. So depending on what you have in your tank, that type of thing, and what you like. When you set up the lights in your tank, I think obviously you want to set them up so that it does the best for your tank and for the livestock you have in your tank. But then secondly, you want to set up the lights so that they're set to where you enjoy them. I mean, if you have it set to one specific light and it's not really a light that you're enjoying, I mean, you're losing out on part of the hobby. I mean, all the different adjustments on here, you can do it however you like. There's a lot of theories on it out there. I don't personally know which are right, which are wrong. I just know what have worked for me. If you don't agree with what I'm doing, I mean, feel free to try it a different way. This video is kind of more along the lines of just showing you exactly how to adjust, how to set the lights, how to do the timers on it, how to install it, and get it set to your liking. We'll run through a couple of setups on it. I'll actually do a screenshot or a screen recording on my phone here to show you the actual app so you can see it as clear as possible. And then I did want to mention here while I have you, while I'm out here, just in case you are wanting to order this light for your tank. I mean, I know a lot of people have already commented, after I had my experience, that they're not even going to bother. But, there are some I'm sure that will. So, so far, to be honest with you, I've messed around with it for now a little over a week. I do like the 2 lights, and my corals and stuff have all seemed to be looking better than they were. So I mean, I don't think I'm overpowering them, but without doing proper testing on the PAR, I really don't know. So we're gonna most likely, my area I don't personally know anybody that has a light meter, and my local fish store does not. Probably the nearest one, if they have one, would probably be 100 miles away. So I may be looking at buying one, or maybe if there is somebody in the hobby that has one that's near to me and they do watch my videos, let me know. Maybe I could rent it from you, or we could do a video with you. Whatever works. But I'm going to try to get one together and then probably do a short video on that as well. I think he had a good point there with that. I want to at least see where the perimeters are, with one or with two, and take it from there. But getting back to what I was saying, I get rambling here. I apologize for that. The light, if you do want to get one, I'll just show you here quick the part number that you're going to want. That part number, the 14513, that's the light that's for this aquarium. So that's the one that'll fit under the hood, and it'll be the same as the light strip that it comes with. Now, as far as the cord that you plug it into, you're going to want to make sure and double check on that and not get in a situation like I did. But I think if you contact Fluval, I think they will let you know. They did let me know. They just directed me in the wrong position. And actually, it turned out pretty good, because I ended up getting this extra spare light for nothing. So give it a shot. Maybe if they mess up, it'll be in your favor as well. Otherwise, let's get into the part of this video you guys have been waiting for. Alright, so basically, now this works the same obviously with an Android or with an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, obviously you would go to the Apple Store. On an Android, you're going to go to the Play Store. You just type in the Play Store. You would go up here to Fluval, and you'll see you'd see the little icon here, the blue one. You just hit install. Takes just a second. It's a free app, obviously. They don't charge you extra for the app, fortunately. After that whole cord thing, I'm surprised the app is free. I probably shouldn't say that, but then once you get that, you open it. It's going to take you to this screen right here. This screen right here, as you can see, it's already found both my lights. If it doesn't find your light, you would just click on this little plus sign in the top. It would say, I guess I'll allow it. Right now it's basically searching for any more lights. If I had that third light popped in, that would show up on here. But that's not the case, so we're all set there. So we'll go back to this. Now basically you're just going to, each one of these lights is the same. You would pick that, you'd pull it up. It's going to have a auto setting up here. If you do the auto setting, you can pick like sunrise, and then you would pick a start time. Let's say you wanted it to start at 9:30 a.m. and you wanted it to end at 11. See, it's going to show the time up here. You can see where, down below it starts at 0. And so then you'd hit save, right? Well, then once you hit save on that, down here at the bottom, if you look at these bottom three, there's the one with the little play button, and you hit preview. Now you see this green line coming across the screen. You can't see it here. I will show you this after we're done, but I couldn't get them both on the same screen. I worked at it for an hour here, and I guess this whole editing has got me a little bit confused on this part of it. But so we'll do it in two screens. So now you see the green line. Once it hits this, you'll see that's where the light starts turning on, and then once it's on full. This is just a quick preview. It's going to scroll right across the screen. It's going to show a simulation of what this light's going to do the whole day. So you know exactly what's happening the whole day in just a matter of seconds here. Now when it gets over here, it would drop down to where the blue would be down to this level, and all the others would be off. Finally, coming over here to the end of the day where we had it set, it would be done. Then it's off. Basically, once the line's over to the end, then you know that's over. So you just seen the whole play. Now remember that green line that I'm talking about there, because I'm going to reference it later. going to put this in, and I'm going to hit the green line, and then I'm going to actually be filming the tank so you can actually see how it changes throughout the day with that setting. Each one of these is the same. If you want to go with the auto, you know, for the longest time I actually used the sunset one. I did decide to go pro and do the rest, but you would just basically pick this. You can actually go in, like for example, let me go out of here. So you can actually go in, let's say you're going to do the daylight. You can go in and you can actually adjust this. You see how that red line comes up and down, and then the blue over here, and you can actually adjust these yourself. You don't have to I mean, there's a little bit of free space in here as well. You don't have to just follow what they have set for that. You can adjust it yourself. Once you adjust it, then you simply would hit save. I'm not going to save it because I leave it the way it was, but you would just simply hit save, and then when you went out and you hit the daylight, or I mean you hit the preview, the bar you'd see the green bar start going across again, and you could see what your changes did. Once again, we won't have to watch that because you know what I'm talking about there. So on that, you also have the sunset. Same way, the sunset. Now this one would basically you would set the time, the start time. You can see how as I move the time, the lines on the screen move for the start and the finish. End time over here, you know, that's raising or lowering. Once again, you would hit save if that was the setting you wanted. Cancel. And then the sleep time, you can actually set it here if you want for it to do kind of a light moonlight. I actually have not used this yet, to be honest with you. I haven't messed around with it. I run that reactor at night, and my tank gets hot with the lights the way it is, so I just leave them off at night. It would be more of an aesthetic thing, unless of course you had some type of a, you know, coral or anemone or something that required a moon type glow, but that's another option here in the presets. Now you can always go to manual, and in the manual you can set P1, P2, P3, P4. When you set that, you would, you know, you adjust the white. Now remember this as well, the manual, because I'll show you a little bit of this when we're showing the tank, because here you see me sliding the different colors, but you don't see the light changing. We'll try to get that so that you can see the light changing on the tank. You know, then if you had that, you'd hit P1. Well, actually, let's just do it this way. So you'd go like this, and then you hold it in. And once you hold it in, it's kind of like a car stereo. Then that becomes a setting. See, I pull over to P2, I go back, it's where I set it. Same way with here. If I went to P3 and I changed this and I held it down, once you hold it down, you can feel the phone make a little click. Then when you go back, that'll always be the setting in P3. Now the setting that I like to use, and the one that I have been using, is this Pro setting. If you go up here to the top and you click Pro, when you go on this, you can actually go into Edit, and now here's where the timer starts. Okay, so you can figure, okay, so I want this to start at 6 a.m. Each one of these you can move so that, I mean, you can literally change the lighting on every point. Now you do have to set each one of these. So let's say I went over here with this one for 8, and I set the lighting. This isn't where I'm going to put it. This is just a demonstration, right? Now I'd pick the next one, I'd move it over, and then the same thing. You can see up here in the middle where it's actually adjusting. And then, okay, let's say the next one here, for some reason, I want everything to go dark for 10 minutes. Or, you know, down. I can do that. I haven't done that, but I mean, it's something that you could do. Then if you want that, you can space them as far as you want. When, you know, if you space it out to here, it's going to stay at that light till it comes out to here. But then you go to this point, and then let's say you want, at this point, you want it to jump up. You want the blue to jump up. See, each one of these lines is going to show you what that's going to do. And then the next one here, let's say I want full red on, but I want no blue. I just want it to glow red for a little bit. And I want full white. You know, then you can see where it's going to follow, that you can see the dots. The next one I would click to. Each one of these dots you can actually control. And I'm going to actually set this one up. And then when we go on, I'm going to show you a preview of this one so you can see how it would look during the day if you were to do this. So let's say you were going to shut it off here. Just leave the white on, just a small amount. Then the next one, you were going to go. Now you don't have to remember these settings. I'll tell you when we get there. But see, I can run this one all the way out, or I can shut it off. I can group these together, you know, however I like. You don't even have to use them all if you don't want to. You could move this in and then give it the same settings as the other one, and it would maintain it. But this gives you that ability. And then you could hit save. And once you hit save, and then you go down here in the middle on this one, the P, you're going to hit the preview. Now this will be the same thing. When I hit this preview on this one on Pro, this will be the one that I'll show you. And you can see where it's going to rise, where it's going to fall, rise back up, fall, rise back up. And you can play around with this and set it how you want. Like when you're not at home, you may want to have it set up to where it, you know, to where certain lights are on. But then when you are at home, maybe you want a little more white in the tank because you want to see the tank clear, you want to see what's going on. Well, then you can have it set to jump up a little bit more white. Let's say it's, you know, getting late, 8, 9 o'clock at night. You wanted to shut the lights off at, say, 10, 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whichever you choose. And you want all just blue, you can shut them all down for that time and just leave the blue on. Once it reaches the end here, it's going to basically shut off. It's pretty much that simple. There's really not a whole lot to this. Once you have that set up, and you would hit, you know, export, and then you would hit export again, and that becomes yours. Then you would go save as, and let's say I would name this, let's say video. So then I know this setting right here, whenever I go in and I wanna do it, I can just hit video, hit export. That's going to be the one that's going to be playing on my light over there. And I can set multiple ones of these up. I've never really went in to see how many, but I mean, you could literally set up a lot of them. But it will give you the graph. If you hit this overview down in the bottom, it'll give you this graph to show you exactly how much of each light you're using at what time you have them set for. You know, if it's easier to see it that way than on the dots, you can do it that way as well. But it's kind of a pretty handy thing. And then the same way, obviously, you would do the same thing. You go to the other light, because this would take you this. You have to set this one completely separate. I mean, if you want it the same, you can have it the same, but you'd have to go in and manually adjust this one to be the same as the other one, because it is 2 separate lights, but they do work off of the same app, which is nice. You know, that way you have access just on one app to go in and control your lights. But that's the gist of how that works for this light. I just remembered I do want to show you guys something else on here. I hadn't had a chance to actually do this, or well, I guess I did, but I kind of forgot when we originally were talking about it. So I just thought I'd add this in here. If you go up here, say to auto, or let me just pull it up here. If you go into manual, you see this down here, this half or this 3/4 circle with the line in the middle. That's the power. You click that, it turns red. You click it again, it's white, red. Red is off. That shuts the light off completely. When you have that, there's no light, no function whatsoever. When you put it back on, then your lights would come back on. I didn't mention that here at the beginning. I just thought I'd put that on there. And then I know also there was some people that had requested in the comments that they could see where I have my lights at. And I can definitely do that. Like I said, it's my preference. I'm not saying necessarily that it's what you want. But if I go in here and I go to export, this would be one of my settings right here. And I hit export. As you can see, I have the white light set at like 25, or roughly give or take a little scatter there. I figured I'd move it around a little bit just to kind of simulate, you know, how the sun clouds and that kind of thing. Once again, that's more for me than it is for the fish or the corals. That's my thing. But anyways, I got the white light fairly low. And then I got the red, you know, up to about 50 for most of the day. It does take a drastic drop here, but then I keep the blue and the light blue, I keep them maxed. Well, actually the purple, the blue, and the cyan would be the three. I keep them maxed for the majority of the day. And then I have them drop off here about an hour or so before it's done. And then I keep the blue on strong till the end. The blue is on wide open till it shuts off. This is the setting I have actually on both lights. I'll actually show you on there what that looks like as a preview with the green line as well. Once again, you'll notice that there is quite a bit of blue in there, which is what I believe that they need more than anything. But then I also have added the purple, the cyano, and then, you know, 50% red. But this is kind of the look that I like to see with the white. Once again, you can raise the white way up here, way up to the top. I mean, you can have it so that, I mean, when you have both lights on in there, because I had them both completely maxed out, I mean, that thing just glows. It's way too much light for anything, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But for those of you that were asking about my settings, this is what I'm currently using. I may change it. I've been messing around with it here for the last week, but so far I've really liked the look of it. Everything in the tank throughout the day has been opening up real good. The corals all are, you know, wide open, nothing's retracted. So at this point, that's probably where I'm going to leave it for a while. I may change it around. I realized I left out a big point on this whole thing, so let's go into one of these here and I'll show you. This actually tripped me up here when I was trying to reset my lights. I had them all messed up, you know, showing you the video, and then I was going to go back and try to get them set. What I noticed though is that when I went in to set them up, I'd go in and I'd try to set them up, and then they wouldn't shut off. Like if you see a little dot down here, you see where it stops and it's down to 0, and over here they started escalating back up at the ends like another foot. And for some reason, I managed to figure it out the first time I set this up, but then the second time it had me baffled. It took me a little bit here, but I want to give you guys a heads up on it so you see what I'm talking about. So if we go in here to the edit part of it, you see these little, again, I don't know if you can see this little dot. It's all I got to show you on the screen here, but you see where we set these little clocks up. When I click on one, it shows you where each one of these colors is set for that time of the day. You know, and then obviously there's a gap here, but it's all going to be the same, and these will change. Well, no, I just messed it up. Anyways, so we got this here, and you can see where every time I hit one of these change. Well, I tried to get them all in so that they stopped here, thinking I'm going to stop this one at 20 and I'm going to start this one at 8. But when I did that, they would end up getting basically a foot. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So if I go here and I put a color on, see how it goes up to the spike where it shows where I have the time, but then it goes back down, but it doesn't actually go off. It stays on. So ultimately, it would be at a very low setting, but the light would remain on. It would never actually shut off until it started to escalate again when it hit this time frame. And I had myself baffled on that, but basically all there is to that is each one of these dots you have to set. So like when you want it to shut off, you can't have any of these on. If you have any of these on, it's not going to shut off, it's going to continue on. So wherever you set that dot, you see how the little leg shows up here? Well, this is where my timer's done, but then it continues on. Well, if you go in and you shut these off, then you can see where it actually flattens out and it gets to 0. And that's the same way. So you have to have you have to have a point here for the shut off. Because this one I have the same way. You see I don't have any of these on if I start putting them on. So that's where it's going to shut off. And the same way over here. So I have that, you see I have nothing on, and it's the same way if I had them on. The point's got to be off there. I didn't put that on the first video because I actually forgot that that was even how it worked. But I wanted to make sure and throw this in here just so you guys know, because then you can see where I have the lights set on the other ones. Here's where it shuts off. It stays off here. It shuts off here. And it stays off here. So it's only on between this dot and this dot right now. I don't know if I'm going to leave it like that, but I just wanted to quick throw this in on the video, because without that, you might get to this point and you might be like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. My lights never shut off. Well, they do. You just got to make sure when you do it that you have them all set to 0 on those times, because it's going to do whatever they're set on. Okay, so this is with no lights on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn one on. Alright, so that's basically the light on pretty much max everything. Well, actually, if I go like this, there. Now it's max everything. What you can see there. Now, if I switch over to Pro. Now this, I'm going to start out actually with, this is the setting that I keep the tank at myself. This is the lights I like. I'm going to show you a quick preview of this. Okay, so it'll start out, you can see it coming across. This is with the white. This is about the amount of white I have, and it pretty much maintains this light for the day. When you see this is the light that I actually have. This is pretty much the height of the day, the center of the day. The majority of the day is going to be this light. This is a mixture, the graph I showed you of my lighting. And then here it's coming up towards the night. This is where it starts to drop off. You can see it's starting to turn more blue, a little darker blue. Not a huge change. And then at that point, before it bred up, that would be off. That's where I keep it all day. I started at that. One more time. I started at that. This is where it starts out. And this is where it maintains. Now this is just one light. If I put the other light on, it's going to be a little different story. But this is where I personally like it. And this is what the full cyan, full purple, full blue, 50% red, 25% white. Again, this is not something you have to do. This is my personal preference. People that asked where it was at, I wanted to share it with them. So this is where I keep it, and this is what I like it at. Alright, now this is the setting here that we just kind of messed around and I saved with, just put random things in on each one of those points for it to change throughout the day. We're going to just run a preview on that right now. You can see we had it start out, looks like fairly blue. It's coming along here. This is the preview. This is where the green line is going across. Now you're going to see it spike up a little white. Then it's going to get a lot more white. Then all at once the white's going to start to drop off like we had set it, down to where the white's gone and it's basically red. Then it's back up, back down, pretty much red again. The blue's off. Now the blue's back on max, and then everything kind of spikes back down. Now this isn't a place where I personally want the lights, obviously, but this was just a demonstration to show you how much versatility, or how much of an option you have with it. You can do that and have all those options. Now here would be an auto setting. Okay, let's just pick the daylight. And then we're going to run the preview on this one here. This would be basically right now we're coming on about 6 a.m. The lights are off. It's dark. We're pulling up here. It's getting close to right now we're pulling up on 8 a.m. You'll be able to see the lights pop on. Then this would be the setting. This is one of the preset settings. I believe this is daylight, what they call. And then you can see here, this is going to be about 8 o'clock. It's going to start dropping off. Pretty much hits to blue. By 10 o'clock, it's all blue. Then done. Then it's back off. you know, that would just be another setting. That's a preset setting, obviously, and you have those adjustments on that as well. Just turn the lights on and off. Like I said, that button that turns red, you know, that would turn it off. That would turn it back on. Here would be, you know, when we set those P1 settings, this is what one of them would be if you wanted at that. This would be another one. You know, this would be a different one. You can tell the changes. You know, once again, this is something that you have to play around with. I mean, if you happen to like the settings that I have, great. If you don't, that's great as well. But I'm going to put this on the Pro setting here, and then I'm going to go back out, go to the other light. Turn that one on. You can see how it turned up a little bit. And you can see how it's kind of got a blue tint to it, but yet there's white in there, so you can still see what's going on. That's where we have it set, you know, like I said, with the white at about 25%, and then the rest of the color is pretty much up. That's kind of way that's the way I like to look at it. This is just personally my take on it. Once again, I've said this multiple times. Feel free to change this however you like. This is pretty much all I have on this right now that I can go over without like the par meter for, you know, say a third video. Otherwise, I think this one's probably getting plenty long enough the way it is, monkeying around with all this stuff. That's kind of a quick shot here. It's kind of glared. I don't know if you can, maybe we can focus in. You can see the Ben guys in there. Give you a little peek at them. I haven't really went and done a tank video, you know, a video of actual tank. As you can see, if you're looking on, you can see my rock is actually starting to turn purple, which is good for the coralline. You can see the corals that I do have out, the hammer there. You can see that, well, right in that picture, right in the dead center, you can see a little tufted green hair algae. That's like about the only algae I have in this tank right now, and I'm not sure why that just started there. Well, there's, as you can see down at the bottom with this light, you can see a couple of little patches of red yet that I haven't got rid of. A spot on the bottom of the glass here, unfortunately I don't have clean for the video. But the algae, you know, I pretty much have, it's turning around on us. You know, I just, I'm getting pretty excited about where this tank is going. You know, as always, I do want to thank everybody that does watch the video. You know, I want to, everybody that does subscribe, you know, likes, comments, participates. If you have questions on this, if I said something incorrect and you want to correct me on it, you know, by all means, let's have a discussion in the comments. I'm not opposed to, you know, finding out information. Every once in a while, when people do comment, I find out things through the comments that I'm like, you know, I didn't even think about that. You know, just like I told you, the one that commented on here, I wish I could remember his name right offhand. I apologize in advance that I don't have your name on to tell him. But and then also, you know, Mike Bowler, who also has a channel like this about the same tank. Me and Mike, we exchange ideas back and forth. You know, he tries some, I try some. We try to see what works the best. Let's have discussions here, especially if you have this tank or if you have this light. You know, comment. You know, I'll respond. I'll put my 2 cents in. You can put your 2 cents in, and we'll see where it goes. Anyways, as always, like, subscribe, comment, please. It helps YouTube share my videos, and I'll see you next time.